Welcome back to another episode of the Totally Unqualified Podcast. I am, of course, Jake Maltese, joined by my favorite co-hosts in all of podcasting. And that's not saying that I've had other co-hosts in all of podcasting, but you know what? I'm just going to, you guys are up there, definitely up there. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing all right. I mean, I got my booster earlier today. I'm a little groggy. The arm hurts a little bit, sort of out of it, but you know what? I'm here for the long haul. I'm here for the run. I'm here to talk about some of these terrible head coaches.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Happy to be here as always. I had a fairly chill day today at work. It wasn't too crazy, so that always helps.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Luke, I got to say, you kind of overhyped how bad you'd be looking today. So you look a lot better.
Listen, if it was anything like my first go with the vaccine,
yeah,
I didn't know if I was gonna make it to the podcast. But I'm hoping, cross my fingers. Yeah, I'm here. Gotta be here.
You look
2 days from now, he's gonna be MIA.
Thank you. Yeah, tomorrow might be a different story, but right now, right here at 8:33 p.m.
Yeah, we're doing good. All right, so you guys know how we started off, same as every episode. We're gonna be guessing my weight. I'm kidding. We're gonna be doing guess that player. So this time, again, I feel like this is kind of the normal format now that you guys just ask the questions. Yeah, I kind of like that. So this one's a little tricky, but he's more recent, so you should be able to get him. He hasn't had any news come up about him, like anything like that, but he's entered the NFL recently, so I feel like you should be able to get him.
Entered the NFL recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So played college at Auburn. All right. I feel like that doesn't narrow it down because a ton of Auburn players in the NFL. He was a first round pick in 2020. Okay. Gage's mind is working. Let's see. I feel like we're on the right track here. He is a defensive player.
Oh man.
Oh wait, this was supposed to be you guys asking me questions.
Yeah, I was questioning at first. All right, does he go? Did he go to Auburn?
Yes. Okay. Let's just. All right. So we're not doing that format.
Was he drafted in the 2020 draft?
He was. Oh my God. How did you know that? What the hell? This is how fried my brain is for my first day of classes. Yeah, he is. Oh my.
Holy.
You got it. Yeah. This is how fried my brain is. I had my first day of classes today, guys. Not a good day. My brain is in overdrive right now. Anyway, let's just keep going with this format, I guess. Okay. Yeah, defensive player, and he was this is your last hint you're getting out of me. He made the all-rookie team in 2020.
2020.
So defensive player, Auburn, first round pick 2020, made the all-rookie team.
First round
pick. I'm bad with this shit.
Auburn.
I'm so bad at this shit.
Oh man.
My mind's not in it right now. It's when you like try to think of players and you literally can't think of a single player.
Yeah.
Not a single player.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that happens to me every time we do this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Auburn, not Nick Bosa. All right. So let's start asking questions. AFC?
Yeah, you can start asking questions.
Is he in the AFC?
No, he's not in the AFC.
NFC.
NFC South.
Yes.
Oh.
Wow, I keep getting those first try.
Yeah.
At least I'm good at something.
Does he play for the Saints?
No.
Oh shit.
Does he play for the Falcons?
No.
Okay. Bucks or Panthers?
Wait.
Not Jeremy Chin.
Not Jeremy Chin.
Jeremy Chin was in the first round anyway.
Does he play for the Panthers though?
He does play for the Panthers.
Derek Brown.
It is Derek Brown.
There it is.
He got it.
I stole that from you. I stole that from you, Gage.
I couldn't believe. Yeah, Luke, you just blurted that out.
Gage,
I thought Gage was getting that one for sure. All right, so Luke has currently won 2. Gage, you have 1, and I have 0. I have 0 on the year right now.
Last place. Imagine that.
We have a great episode planned for you guys today. We have Lacey Jane Brown joining us. And then we're going to talk about some Black Monday firings, the saddest day in all of football. For some fan bases, for, others, not so much. But yeah, we have a great episode for you guys today. So let's get into it.
All right. And we are now welcomed by our special guest this week, Lacey Jane Brown from TikTok. You guys, I'm sure, have seen her content all over the place. I know that I can't escape it. She's literally everywhere with her over 200K followers. And I think when I first found you on TikTok, which doesn't feel like it was that long ago, you were under 100K. And now, I mean, you've absolutely blown up. It's gone crazy. But how are you doing?
I'm doing so good. Yeah. How are you guys?
Doing great. Yeah, couldn't be better. Especially now that you're on. This is awesome. Can't wait.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, TikTok has been crazy. It's weird. I started off on TikTok doing more skits. That's if you followed me from a long time ago, you would have saw that I strictly did kind of more comedy skits. And then I really enjoy the news aspect. So then it turned into just me talking, which I enjoy more because that's what I like to do. So then when I started doing that, then it started like I got more and more followers. So I was like, maybe I need to change this.
Yeah, maybe you got to stick with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but TikTok's so interesting. It can be a struggle for sure.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. People say that like, oh, just don't focus on the numbers and stuff like that. And that's super easy to say when you're not making any content. But once you actually start, I mean, you're just constantly refreshing it.
Yeah, it's hard not to look. Yeah.
You want to do well.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it can be incredibly toxic as well. Like the amount of comments, oh my gosh, the amount of people I have to block like every single day is pretty insane. I think it's there's a lot of people that will either comment just for the fact that I'm a female, or they'll comment the fact that I have blonde hair. Like there was one person that would like stitch my videos religiously just to like make comments that I was a female that had blonde hair. And I was like, does that prove anything? I don't really know. So I was like, I'm just gonna block.
What does that do? We were actually in our group chat, like just talking about that, how like these sort of, I don't know, toxic comments, these troll comments, and like whoever stitches your videos and like all these different people, they kind of like almost, they don't not make you want to like not make videos, if that makes sense. But they sort of like, I don't know, it's like a self-esteem thing. Like you want to make sure everybody likes you, but at the end of the day, like not everybody's going to like you on this app. And that's that's just what social media is. But I think you just got to live with that and just do you, because we're all doing pretty good. You especially, Lacey. You
guys are doing awesome. But thank you. This is fun that you guys have a podcast. I don't even know how to do that. So that is so fun.
It's just Zoom. It's just Zoom meetings weekly.
It's a work in progress.
Cool.
We're definitely not like, well, the show's called Totally Unqualified. We always pander to that all the time, but there's a reason for it. We called it that because we don't know what we're doing. We're just doing it.
No, I love that.
We're just having fun.
Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
So I wanted to ask you, so you started doing like more news type videos, more like almost story time type videos. You're posting like 3-4 times a day, it seems like. How are you so quick with all this stuff?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I literally get no sleep. So this is not my full-time job. So I have various part-time jobs. So actually my background, so I went and got a degree from Kansas State University. You guys probably don't know what that is. But anyways, Kansas school. And then I went on and got certification through Cornell for digital marketing. And then I worked with an engineering firm for a while. And then I was like, I hate this corporate world. So then now I do freelancing stuff. I'm a soccer coach. I dog sit, like all this random crap. But my passion is sports. And I'm sure you guys know the COVID era with sports, it kind of like tanked like crazy. And that's when I kind of like went into it right at the worst part to do that. So so I make a ton of videos on repeat. Mainly I just started a Twitter as well. I never had a Twitter. Isn't that weird?
Okay. Yeah.
I started a Twitter, but I had like clients' Twitters that I would do stuff for them on. So like I always knew news and different things like that. So I would research a lot on Twitter, and that's where I'd get a lot of real-time stuff. And so that's what I do currently as well. And see just some stories. And then right when I see it, I try to do it real quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't It doesn't happen right away, but I try to get it really quickly. But
so you have all of like the post notifications on, like of all of the news outlets and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's pretty annoying. I really don't have a life, but just saying.
Yeah. I can totally relate to the not getting any sleep thing. I noticed when I woke up this morning, I had the message from you responding saying that the time was good. And it was at like 3:40 a.m. And I was like, oh man, like I thought I was bad.
Yep. Story of my life. I don't think people realize I like literally get no sleep. I know I did that message and I was like, oh shoot, I shouldn't do that. But I'm awful. Like on Instagram, on TikTok messaging, that's just really, really hard for me because I'm sure with you guys also probably have a ton of different part-time things you're doing as well. Yeah. Or maybe you don't, but if you do, you know that it's hard to make time like on social media to respond to everyone, to also make videos. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's you need to find like a good balance. Like usually I try to like before I go to sleep, I try to look through my comments or through my DMs or whatnot, just like respond and like because I think it's important to show your community that you're responsive to them and like you care for them just as much as they care for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do a live typically every single night, but I realize that it's probably really, really late for the majority of my audience. But I do a live typically every single night where I talk to quite a few people. Just great. Good time.
It's always a good time.
Yeah. So another thing that I want to dive into a little bit is you are obviously a huge Chiefs fan. I mean, every other week you're dating Andy Reid. He's taking you out somewhere from what I see. So
wonderful.
I kind of want to get to the roots of that and how you became a Chiefs fan, whether it was like as a kid, you grew up a Chiefs fan or whatever the case may be. If you want to walk us through that a little bit, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So literally it's my family. So I'm from Kansas. I grew up on a ranch, actually on a farm, which is crazy. My dad, like social media, that's not his niche. Can't even speak.
Yeah.
A niche. So yeah, but huge Chiefs family. I grew up going to the games. So like my family, it was always the Kansas City Chiefs, KU basketball, K-State football. That is what the games we would go to and the games we would watch. So that's kind of what I matured into. Like when I became an adult, grew up in college, I would go to K-State football games. I would go to KU basketball games while I was a student at K-State, which probably isn't great, but it is what it is. And but as far as the Chiefs go, huge fan. Even when we were absolutely trash, which was majority of my life. I remember Trent Green was my man. I loved Trent Green. Then I loved Tony Gonzalez. I still am a huge Tony Gonzalez fan. But yeah, it's mainly my dad, my family. I just grew up in a family that loved the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's kind of been what it is for a long time.
Now, was it always the plan to go to K-State or did it just so happen to work out like that?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things. So my sister, she had a D1 scholarship to play volleyball elsewhere. So that was my goal, was to play out of state somewhere. But I had a injury in my leg. So my leg is like made out of metal. So I played basketball year round and I had a compound fracture in my leg, bone leg popped out. It was not a good thing. And so I couldn't do that. So it was in-state schools for me. And so it was either K-State or KU, and K-State was cheaper. I was paying for it by myself. And I worked like 40 hours throughout college as well. So K-State was the much better, cheaper option. That was still D1.
Oh, I can completely relate. I go to Oswego State right now, which nobody's ever heard of, but it's right on Lake Ontario, like way up north in New York.
That's fun.
Yeah, so I know definitely cheaper is the way better option, especially when it comes to college. Like you can't be
yeah, absolutely. And KU, so KU is I had family that actually went to KU, and KU is very much so more of a liberal arts, I would say, type of school kind of vibe, while K-State is just, it's much more of an ag school. So I grew up on a ranch, I grew up on a farm, a bunch of like country kids all go to K-State, which is pretty funny. So that's kind of why I chose that school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we dove into the Chiefs a little bit. So I figure it's only right that we talk about some in-division stuff that was going on with the Raiders and the Chargers going at it. This supposed, like, they were just going to knee out the whole game. And then the way that it ended up playing out with it potentially almost becoming a tie, but the timeout is called and all that stuff. So Luke, I'm going to start with you and let you go ahead and give your opinions on this whole thing. Is everybody overreacting to the Brandon Staley calling the timeout stuff?
100%. I mean, people can say what they want. Rich Versace can say what they want. I still think that the Raiders were going for the win no matter what. Okay. Like, I think they were going to at least attempt a field goal, even if they were from like out of field goal range. Say it was like a 60+ yarder. You're still going to attempt it just in case, people are going to look at and say that Rich Versace thought because Brandon Staley called that timeout, he thought that he was going to go for the game-winning field goal and try and, flip-flop on him and try and win the game. Nah, they're not winning with 45 seconds left. Even if they were going to punt, they were going to stop them on third down and they were going to punt. I don't think they were going to get down the field in just 30 seconds. I mean, Justin Herbert was laying the ball everywhere the whole night, but I don't think that would have happened. I think they both would have rather went for the tie. Like, I don't think you want to put the ball in harm's way with 30 seconds left when you have the chance for you to both go to the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know why people are making such a big fuss about it. But I don't know if this was recency bias or not, but I was talking about it with my friend, one of my buddies. I think that was the greatest game I've ever seen. Like, I think that might have been
really.
I'm not even kidding. I think that might be up there with like the Chiefs Rams from a couple years ago, as I'm sure Lacey, that was a crazy game. But I think it was just so good for how interestingly like weird it was and a unique circumstance that we might not ever see again, where both teams could tie and both make the playoffs, right? So
just how memorable it's going to be.
So memorable.
So a lot of people are calling potentially for Brandon Staley's head, saying that he should be out as the Chargers coach, which I personally don't think should happen. But Lacey, as somebody that's a fan of a team that's in division, what are your thoughts on Brandon Staley? Do you think that he's done a good job with this team, or do you think he's potentially on his way out with the decisions he's making?
I don't think he's on his way out. Not at all. But one thing I will say that is hilarious for me. Am I still on mute? Okay, no, sorry. I want to make sure. Sometimes I'm like, what? Am I on mute still? One thing that I think is hilarious. So he always goes for it on the fourth, like that is what he is known for. So whenever the Chargers play the Chiefs first time, they beat us. And everything I heard from Rex Ryan was all like, oh, Staley's the next Lombardi, Staley's the next Belichick, Staley's this, like all this stuff. And I'm just like, will you stop? Literally, just once when it just, that stuff frustrates me so much just because they're division rivalries. But as far as his coaching goes, he's their coach. No, he's not making the best decisions during that game. But it worked for him, obviously, in other games. It worked to his advantage. So I think he's their coach, without a doubt. I don't think he's on his way out. But yeah, I am all about the overreactions when it comes to how people viewed him early on in the season, because so many people really, really hyped him up. And it was extreme, very extreme. And I don't know if maybe I paid more attention to that just for the fact that they're the Chargers. And I heard so much about Justin Herbert, everything. Everyone's like, oh, you need to watch out for him. And all that jazz. But yeah, Justin Herbert is amazing. And I think Staley is also a really great coach for them as well. So, but yeah, I think he's staying.
I agree with that personally. I think that everybody's overreacting to this timeout call because it's not, I mean, he can't read the Raiders' minds. You know what I mean? If they were going to run the clock out, it's like, how's he supposed to know? He just assumes that they're going to go down and try to win the game, especially a game against a division rival. And I think that there was a point in the season where it might have been an overreaction at the time, of course, where Brandon Staley was my coach of the year candidate. He was leading that. And I don't think that was crazy at the time because they looked really good. They were getting it done. I think that the biggest issue for them, or the thing that really lost them this game, is just their run defense. Josh Jacobs ran all over them. Even late in the game, they get into field goal range off of 2 runs. So I think that it's bigger than just Brandon Staley making this one decision to call a timeout. The circumstances just happen to be really weird, but I definitely think he's the coach to stay as well. I think that he's going to do great things with them, and they have a bunch of cap space and some draft picks coming up. So I think that they'll just get better. And that division, I think, is going to compete as one of the best in the league.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I know. I'm not looking forward to next season. That's why I honestly was rooting for the Raiders. I would much rather see the Raiders in the playoffs than the Chargers, just given that chance. I don't like playing the Chargers. Don't like playing them.
I mean, their offense is crazy. And Justin Herbert is looking like one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. And now you look at the Raiders making the playoffs. They're above 500 team. They're looking like they have a foundation built for the future. And then the Broncos potentially might be getting an upgrade at quarterback this offseason. They're going to have a plethora of choices to pick from. So this division this might be getting crazy soon.
I hope the Broncos, I hope they don't get a really good quarterback, because I lived through the Manning era and I don't need that again in my life. It's when you live in the state of Kansas, so it's like mixed. There's like people that are half Chiefs fans, half Broncos fans. Now majority of people are still like Chiefs fans, I guess. But when I was growing up, it was all Broncos fans, a lot of them, or St. Louis Rams fans. But obviously that's not the choice anymore for a lot of fans. But yeah, Broncos fans, they can be toxic. I'm sorry if you're a Broncos fan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh man, just imagine if they get, who might be the most toxic quarterback in the whole NFL, Mr. A-Rod from Green Bay. Yeah. Imagine that.
Oh
imagine
gosh,
that.
no.
Yeah, I'm hoping against that.
Yeah, me
it's gonna be so crazy if that happens.
Could you imagine?
Insane. Yeah, no.
We'll see. I mean,
PTSD.
The Broncos were looking at they interview Nathaniel Hackett, the Packers offensive coordinator. Maybe they're trying to get a connection there for their head coaching position. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
They're plotting, scheming.
Yeah, something.
So the Chargers don't make the playoffs. The Raiders do make the playoffs. And a team that I have been high on throughout the season, I was like, they're going to make the playoffs. They're getting hot. Jonathan Taylor's going crazy. Carson Wentz is good enough to get it done. And then Carson Wentz has to go and absolutely prove me wrong as they lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars to be kicked out of the playoffs, which is just why. But it is what it is. I mean, what did you think of the Colts this season, Lacey? Did you think they had, it's hard to think that they didn't have a pretty legitimate shot, especially with the way they beat the crap out of the Bills.
Legit, probably 3-4 weeks ago, I was like, man, they are the team I don't want to play in the playoffs. Like, that is how much so I was like, damn, they're actually pretty good. So I was completely shocked on that Jags game. I think that fans there should just dress up in clown costumes, have the plane go by that says Clown Town, like, all the time. Every game needs to happen. That's what I'm thinking.
The Colts picked the worst time to play their worst game of the season, like the absolute worst time. I saw a tweet that says a perfect QBR is 100, an average QBR is 50. In a play-in game against the worst team in football, Carson Wentz posted a 4.4 QBR. That if that isn't the most Carson Wentz way to end a season, I don't know what is. To play good the entire season, have people thinking, oh, this might be a sort of resurrection of his career. He's looking good with Frank Reich again, just to plummet in the end and miss the playoffs entirely. It's crazy. And just like the icing on the cake is that the Jaguars fans protested at their game because of how bad they were, literally dressed as clowns. And the Colts ended up being the biggest clowns of the day. It's crazy. I made a TikTok video yesterday saying they're the most disappointing team of the year. Maybe you don't say that because they didn't really have playoff expectations heading into the season. A lot of people didn't think. But just the way that they ended the season 2 weeks ago, like you said, Lacey, that we were talking about this team as the hottest team in football, the team that nobody wanted to see in the playoffs, and for them to not even make the playoffs. It's a travesty. And to be quite honest, I think Frank Reich is a good head coach, and I think he's there to stay for a little bit, but I think he has to be put into question this offseason. There's no way you can't get your team up for a game like that. That's crazy. It's against the worst team in the league, who gets the number 1 draft pick 2 years in a row. And you know what? They're probably going to be 3-14 next year. So they might have it 3 years in a row. We'll see.
Calling it early.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a future bet on that one.
I might.
Same.
I don't know. I like Frank Reich as a head coach and what he's done with the Colts over the time that he's been there. I mean, especially with the things that he's faced too. I mean, Andrew Luck retiring just before the season starts. They get Phillip Rivers, who obviously was far out of his prime at that point and just playing it out. And then you get Carson Wentz, who I thought was going to be maybe not a huge upgrade, but he was going to be a guy that was serviceable enough that he was going to be able to get it done because they made it to the playoffs with Phillip Rivers.
Absolutely.
But Carson Wentz has just been so volatile that he'll have a great game one game, and then he'll absolutely shit the bed another game, and that's just not going to work. So especially even if they made the playoffs, imagining them stringing together 4 wins on the back of Carson Wentz, if for some reason Jonathan Taylor gets shut down, is hard to see happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's better that they didn't make it in the big picture of things with Carson Wentz at the helm.
Did you guys see Andrew Luck? He looks so much different. I barely recognized him, which I know that you're obviously when you're not in the NFL, you're going to lose a lot of like body mass and stuff. But I was like watching and I didn't know who it was until I saw the name. I was like, oh my gosh. But I haven't seen him as of recent either. So
it was unexpected. Unexpected is what it was. It's kind of like shocking.
He's so happy though. And like such a nice person that I like. Big fan of his.
Yeah. I feel
100%.
like seeing him in that situation, and he was even smiling on the broadcast too. Like that just puts a smile on your face.
Yeah.
I will say, a little bit weird. I don't know if you guys caught this, but his mustache was a different color than his like hair on his head, which I was like, that's kind of weird. It was like blonde. It was like a little bit blonde. It was lighter. And you're used to seeing Andrew Luck with the full neck beard. It was sort of weird. We talked about this on the last episode, Gage, but like, remember the Twitter account, the pre-Revolutionary War, like Carson.
It's like Andrew Luck if he was a Civil War general.
Yeah.
And they tweeted like in that fashion, like it was, he was writing letters back home and stuff. It was hilarious. That's the thing that I miss the most about Andrew Luck being in the league.
He quite literally looked like that Twitter account.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of crazy with his mustache.
Yeah. They photoshopped his head on like the Civil War general's body or something, a picture, and it looked like it was real. It was crazy.
It was.
That's awesome.
It was.
But yeah, Andrew Luck, I mean, how do you hate the guy? You just can't.
No.
Even if you're in the same division, I don't know how you hate Andrew Luck. I mean, I've never seen anybody else congratulate a defensive end or a defensive tackle on sacking him. You know what I mean?
I know. One thing that I guess is very interesting, this is kind of on a different issue, but one thing I noticed on the Andrew Luck was a ton of sports media companies were, when they saw him there at Lucas Oil Stadium, a lot of people, sports media was saying that, oh, he looks so skinny, there's this, there's that, he looks completely like bad and all that stuff. And I'm like, first off, would you say that what if his gender was a female? This would not be happening. That sports media company would be canceled. Yeah. Second off, he looks so happy. And also, he's not in the NFL anymore. Like, that frustrated me so much because I'm like, if he was a female, roles would be reversed. That sports media company would be canceled. All this stuff.
He doesn't look bad in my opinion.
No,
he looks different,
and
that was a bit of a shell shock just because you haven't seen him in so long. But he looks like he's in good shape. Like he's not working out, he's not like huge or anything, he's not jacked, but he looks like he's a pretty slim guy. He's staying in shape. He said that he's enjoying being a full-time dad, so it's like, I know, cut the guy a break.
Right?
I know, that's what I thought so too. I was about to go after people that said that. There's some people, I made a video on it and some people were like commenting that stuff and I was just like, delete. I'm like, I just no.
It's ridiculous. But like with these sports media companies, like you were saying, in like today's society, especially, you get clicks off controversy, and it's upsetting that you can't talk about, oh, how happy I keep saying Carson Wentz, Andrew Luck, how happy Andrew Luck is. You can't comment on that. You can't say, oh man, I'm so glad to see him. You have to say something like derogatory about him. You have to say, oh, he looks so skinny. And that's what a lot of these media companies are doing. And it's really annoying. It's really annoying that we can't just have, like, I guess they don't make money off of it or what have you, but like they don't get the clicks or the revenue, but it is upsetting. And I wish that would change, but I mean, it's clicks off controversy. I don't think it will, but I'm just glad. I'm glad to see Andrew Luck back. I think we can all say that. Yeah, me
too. It's great seeing him back.
It'd be pretty cool to see him take a media role or something like that. If he were to come back in that way, like I'd love to see that. I think that he'd be great at that.
Yeah, doing something.
His voice is very iconic too. Like you just notice his voice right away too.
And he's like one of the few, I'd say superstar like athletes that aren't on social media. Like he doesn't do the social media thing. His life isn't on the internet. So you really aren't able to keep up with him. So seeing him every once in a while like that, I think is great. I think he definitely should get like a broadcasting role if he wants, of course. But or if he wants to come on the Totally Unqualified podcast, which I know he's listening. So
we're open to it. Yeah. What are the chances that you guys think he still has a flip phone?
Oh my gosh.
What are the chances he has a phone at all?
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
I feel like if he has like an iPhone or something, it is specifically to let his kid play on it.
Yeah. I can
that
see
would
that.
be the only reason.
Otherwise,
he'll just have the flip phone.
A little Candy Crush or whatever. I think he's still on that note on a pigeon wave. I think he's just still sending the pigeons out to mail all his letters. Yeah, I think so. Lacey, I gotta ask, what's up with the wall behind you? That is awesome.
You like that?
I love it.
Yeah. So it's actually not even done yet, but I first had a red themed wall. And basically what it was a Chiefs themed wall because yes, that's kind of what it was. But I talked about various teams. So I was like, I kind of want more teams. So I made it more red. And then every single live, everyone's like, haha, she just picked red teams. So cute. So I was like, okay, I'm done with that for like a year of those comments every single live. So then I made a just black and white themed wall. And it just is like a collage.
That's awesome.
Kind of thing.
Is there a reason why you picked those athletes, or did you just pick them because?
I would say that I have a lot of some of my favorite athletes that I really enjoyed when I was younger, as well as some of my favorite athletes of all time. Like for me, Barry Sanders right there. He's one of my favorites. He's from Wichita, which is I know that place very well. My brother lives there. Then went to Oklahoma State University. So big fan of his. And so I just have a lot of athletes that I'm a big fan of. A lot of KU players as well are on the wall.
Yeah, I see Green Bay Packers legend Jordy Nelson over there.
Yep. Yes, K-Stater, which he is phenomenal. Like he's such a nice guy in person. Him and Tyler Lockett are both one of like two of the nicest people ever.
Absolutely.
Such nice people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who would you say is your favorite like current player in the league that's not a Chief and also not Tyler Lockett?
Gosh. Dang, that one's hard. I would probably say Emmanuel Sanders would be probably my favorite because he's also such a nice guy. I love his story, everything he does for his community. So yeah, he'd probably be my favorite in regards to that. I'm not saying like as far as like an athlete goes to watch. An athlete to watch would be Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Derrick Henry is so fun to watch, except for when he's like playing the Chiefs.
Yes.
That's the only thing.
I can second the Emmanuel Sanders thing. I feel like he doesn't get enough attention, especially for the things that he does in the community and stuff like that.
I know.
And I will admit that I didn't really realize that until I'm a Saints fan. Like when he was with us last year, seeing him, do the things that he did with our community and everything in the short time that he was there, it's like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, every year around the anniversary of his mother passing, I believe he takes a bunch of kids out to, I want to say like Dave and Buster's or an arcade or somewhere. Yeah, that's endearing. That's sweet. Gotta love Emmanuel. Super Bowl champ. Yeah. Yes. So out of every, I won't just limit it to Chiefs games. Out of every sporting event you've been to, what's your fondest memory?
Oh, my fondest. Probably the AFC Championship last year. That was really, really fun. I'd say that would be one. Another one would be when I was a kid, my family had season tickets to Oklahoma City Thunder, and that was when Durant, Harden, Westbrook, that's when OKC Thunder was like,
around 2011, around there.
Yeah. So just really going to any of those games was always so much fun. But I'd probably say the AFC Championship.
Yeah, it can't go wrong. I mean, you're going to the Super Bowl. How could you beat that?
Yeah. And it was a good game, and so much fun. I want to go to a Super Bowl. If Super Bowl tickets weren't so expensive, I just can't afford that ever in my life.
Yeah.
I've come to terms with like, I may not buy tickets to the Super Bowl and go that way, but my goal has become, rather than just like buying tickets to it, to have somebody send me to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That's an aspiration that I have. Have somebody pay for me to go.
Yeah.
That is mine too. Yeah.
Could you imagine? I was thinking because I'm going to my first Packers game in Lambeau this year. I'm going to the divisional round game. But I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, Mom, if they make it to the Super Bowl, some serious considerations are gonna have to be made. Like I might have to start looking at tickets.
Yeah.
Like, but then I did look at tickets and they were like $7,000. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, maybe I'll hold off. We'll see.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. No, I'll just go for Snoop Dogg and Eminem. That's what I'll go.
Oh
for.
my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I'm so
me too.
excited for that.
I hope it doesn't get moved. I hope it stays in
know.
California. That would stink.
Yeah,
I
know.
I hope it doesn't get moved, and I hope they don't like try to do anything too cute with it. You know what I mean? I feel like they've done that a lot as of recent years. Just let it be. Just let it be a concert.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
They have so many greats, legends on there too.
For
Mhm.
sure.
I'm excited for Eminem though, and Snoop Dogg. My first concert ever was actually Snoop Dogg. Whenever
Really?
I was really young. Yeah, when I was young,
Wow.
it was a concert that I went to, and my eyes were open to new experiences.
I can imagine.
To say the least. To say the least. Yeah.
It's a heck of
Yeah.
a first concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like my brother took me. My brother fully knew what was going on, and I didn't. And it was just I was up for an experience. So yeah, it was something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Hey,
something
what's
you'll
life without
remember.
experiences, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Love it.
All right, Lacey. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up on our end. We very much appreciate you coming on the show. We loved having you.
Yeah,
Potentially
thank you so
have you
much.
back on in the future. You were a great interview.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining, and
Yeah.
we'll see you around. Obviously,
Yeah,
keep
thank
making
you.
great content.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
Yes. And you guys too. You guys are doing really awesome. So thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much for having me. And yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.
Of course.
Thank you, you
of
too.
course. Go Chiefs.
Yes.
Unless
Go
they
Chiefs.
play the Packers in the Super Bowl. We'll see.
Go Chiefs then too. No, I'm kidding.
Let's just start with Luke's best friend, Matt Nagy, up there in Chicago, Illinois. And because Luke loves this topic, we'll start with Gage. Gage, what did you think of the Matt Nagy firing? As shocking as it was. And what do you think of the state of the Bears and where they go from here?
That's one of those moments where like you remember where you were when you saw the news. You know what I mean? It was just so big, so unexpected, came out of nowhere. I woke up, looked at my phone. They said Matt Nagy has been fired as the Bears head coach. And my jaw dropped. I was on the verge of tears. One of the greatest ever lost his job yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so, because I mean, just garbage, horrible head coach.
Hey, but he went 12-4.
1 year.
Care.
Great. Good job.
Yeah, it's actually crazy that he had a winning record because like
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
31.
His team was just so goddamn talented. Like that defense was like defense could have won a Super Bowl. Like that year they went like 11-5. Like that defense was Super Bowl ready. That defense was insane.
How do you credit yourself as an offensive minded guy with such a shit offense the whole time you were there?
Yeah.
Like I understand like the personnel to an extent and stuff like that, but it seems like whenever he gave up play calling, the offense got better.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Rightfully so. He needed to be gone. I don't know. He's one of the guys that I don't know that he gets another job somewhere else. I don't think I would hire him anywhere else.
Maybe college, maybe goes back down there.
I was saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. Great offensive mind, right? And the Bears just never improved on offense. Legitimately, maybe I'd say you can make the case for maybe Darnell Mooney, maybe David Montgomery. Who the fuck has Matt Nagy developed? Nobody.
I mean,
offensively.
Cole Kmet,
No.
maybe. Like,
No.
Yeah.
No. Jimmy Graham
Patrick
is still the starter.
Mahomes,
Yes.
Coates.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because
Of course.
it's so fitting.
That.
It's so
Yeah.
fitting that he was with the Chiefs with Patty Mahomes, and Ryan Pace was the guy to pass on Patty Mahomes for Mitch Trubisky, and then Matt Nagy gets left with him. Speaking of which, very, very sad day for me personally that Matt Nagy and another guy got fired. We'll get to in a little bit. Matt Nagy brought me so much joy as a Green Bay Packers fan. So much joy. He was maybe the best play caller in Packers history. Dare I say? No. He this is overdue. Should have been gone last year after they limped into the playoffs pretty much and lost to the Saints. Oh man, it was 1 year ago yesterday, 2 days ago. No, it was yesterday that Mitch Trubisky won the MVP, Nickelodeon Valuable Player. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the 1 year anniversary of that, the greatest accomplishment in sports history, quite literally.
You know why? Because they've completely destroyed the value of that award because they give it out every week now.
Yep.
Sorry, off topic, but I just had to.
The MVP is given out every week.
Yes, it's not like just
Christian Wilkins won it. Jonathan Taylor won it. Those are the only two I really think of.
I think Kyler Murray won it once. Just disgusting.
And just the poster child for that award is Mitchell Trubisky.
He will always he is the MVP.
He is the award. It is a Mitchell Trubisky Nickelodeon Valuable Player Award. Like it's named after him.
You know how the blimp things that they have are like kaleidoscopes if you look into them?
Yeah.
You guys heard that? When you look into the MVP award, it should just be a bunch of pictures of Mitch Trubisky in it.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I would love that.
That would be the best thing ever.
That.
That would be great.
Sick that we didn't really get to see him get slimed. Like that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
The whole the mere fact that he won that is so beyond funny. Like it was, and there wasn't a Saint that even came in second. Cameron Jordan came in third. Akeem Hicks came in second. The fact that they lost that game by double digits, were not in it, literally didn't score a touchdown. They had Javon Wims drop that touchdown. Then they had the Jimmy Graham one-hand catch with time left. That was so beyond funny. And it was just perfect ending to a perfect career in Chicago, and it shouldn't have ended, but the end of a perfect career for Matt Nagy in Chicago as well, I'll say.
Yeah. So they also fired GM Ryan Pace. So both guys are gone. They have brought in Bill Polian, who has nothing to do with the franchise, to help them find a new head coach and GM. That makes sense. Good job, McCaskey's over there in Chicago. But no, Adam Rank on his podcast yesterday was talking about how the Bears are looking to interview Morocco Brown from the Indianapolis Colts. He's a higher up over at the Colts. So bringing anybody over from the Colts, which is such a well-run organization, I think would be a good move. That you never hear about culture issues with the Colts. They're between Chris Ballard and Frank Reich. Like they're a pretty good team to model yourself after.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Also going to interview assistant GM for the Saints, Jeff Ireland. Yes. Which I don't. Maybe they want the cap to just not exist. I don't see.
I don't know. Would they have to buy him out?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So what is their cap? Oh, because wait. So why would the cap not exist?
Under Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland, working with him.
Yeah,
you would have to think that he picked up on some of the Wizards' magic, right?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, the Bears. Listen, football is better when the Bears are good. So I think we can all agree on that. They're one of the blue blood NFL teams.
Luke disagrees.
Yeah, Luke. Yeah, well, we all know how Luke feels. I tend to believe that when those blue blood NFL teams, the 49ers, the Bears, the Giants, when those teams are good, I think football is better. But yeah. It just, listen, Nagy, he had some success. He blamed all of his offensive, ceiling on Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky goes to Buffalo, looks better. So then we all start questioning whether it was really him. But Nagy, he was just arrogant. He struck me as somebody that was just arrogant, wasn't willing to learn, wasn't willing to correct his mistakes. It was just either his way or the highway. And if his way wasn't working, he'd find an excuse as to why it wasn't working. Oh, it's somebody else's fault. It's not my system. It's not my play calls. It's somebody else's fault. Some other piece on this team is wrong. Ryan Pace, his firing. Listen, I feel like it was just time for him to go. I don't feel like he did a necessarily bad job, other than the fact that he chose Mitchell Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Like, he literally fucked that up.
You can't live that down. Yeah, sorry, you can't.
That's even if Mitchell Trubisky had been a competent starter in the NFL, which I think he could be. He's probably if he does get a starting job, he'll be an average starter.
When Jameis got hurt earlier in the season, I was genuinely considering. I was like, well, what if we bring in Mitch?
Yeah, I feel like Mitchell Trubisky like would be like an Andy Dalton, like maybe not to like the heights that Andy Dalton reached, but like around that area. Like I would say in that ballpark. Or like a Teddy Bridgewater, kind of like kind of in that, ballpark of players. But yeah, it was just not a good look for him. But yeah, I think the Bears fans are probably excited about a much needed culture change over there in Chicago. And listen, I know probably Gage, we wish them the best. Luke probably wishes on your downfall. But that's just the Packers bias in him. Don't take it personally.
No, I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad, man. I'm sad, man.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
All right. Let's move over to some of the other notable Black Monday firings. Somebody, again, that nobody could have seen coming. Vic Fangio was relieved of his duties in Denver after all of his average success there. The new Jeff, what's his name for the Colts? Not the Colts, the Rams. Jeff Fisher.
Yes.
The new Jeff Fisher that was Vic Fangio. Luke, what'd you think?
I think when they hired him, I think he was the right guy for that job. I think they were looking for someone to re-energize and reinvigorate their defense and try and make it that championship level defense, because that's what Denver is built off of. Like, I know that they're known for having Peyton Manning's crazy season and all the seasons with TD and John Elway, right? But at the end of the day, they're built by their defense. They're backed by their defense. And I felt like he was the right guy at the time. That being said, I don't necessarily think he did a bad job as head coach. I don't think you could really win in a situation like that in a competitive division with Patrick Mahomes, dealing with Joe Flacco at quarterback, with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, with Kyle Ripien at quarterback, with Drew Lock and Case Keenum. Like, you weren't going to win. Sorry. And as talented as they have talented individual players, but as a group, they didn't mesh well. I think the lack of Jerry Jeudy sort of emerging in that offense, I also think is sort of an indictment of him. And obviously Jerry Jeudy was dealing with injuries, but you'd like to see more production out of him when he was considered the best receiver, just like last year, 2 years ago, best route runner. But yeah, couldn't do anything on offense. The defense wasn't winning you games, although it was good. And he made, Justin Simmons become a Pro Bowler, and Bradley Chubb emerged, and he's made some players better and shine. Just couldn't do it offensively. And that's probably what Denver, I would assume, is looking for right now, is an offensive-minded sort of guy to develop a quarterback to get them running on offense. Because defensively, I think the remnants of Vic Fangio is there, and you could sort of build off of that.
I don't tend to agree with Theo very often, but he has a great take about Vic Fangio being fired that I really agree with, and that's that he shouldn't have been, in my opinion. Like, I understand that he hasn't had a lot of success in the time that he's been there, but just the way that he's built that defense and the foundation that he has there, and as well as they've played this season. I mean, Patrick Surtain has, if it weren't for Micah Parsons being literally one of the greatest rookie defenders we have ever seen, ever, Patrick Surtain would have a pretty solid case at defensive player of the year right now, in my opinion, or defensive rookie of the year, rather, excuse me. But I don't know. I think Vic Fangio did a really good job with that defense. I think that the Broncos have had that foundation, which is why a lot of people have, like, year after year been like, well, maybe this is their year. They could really do it this year. And then they've just come up short because the offense hasn't followed suit. They haven't been able to keep up with what the defense has been able to do. And like, I understand that is on Vic Fangio as well, but I feel like it would have made more sense to work on the offensive coaches than it would to just straight up get rid of Fangio. Like, get you a quarterback and get you a competent offensive coordinator. And I think you're in business with just those two changes, because you've got a good receiving group. You've got good running backs. Javonte Williams is a monster. So
yeah, and I also want to say that Melvin Gordon had like a kind of quiet, like, good year this year. Like, I feel like he hasn't been getting a lot of credit just because the emergence of Javonte Williams. But can we get the Pat Shurmur the fuck out of here? Like, can we stop thinking that Pat Shurmur is like this amazing play caller, because he's not. I know he was the offensive coordinator for that miracle Vikings team that went to the NFC Championship with Case Keenum, But like, again, miracle it's a reason that there's a reason it's called the Minneapolis Miracle, because it wasn't supposed to happen.
Mhm.
Okay. He would have been just a second round playoff exit offensive coordinator that like made Case Keenum is like a good quarterback. Like, it's not like Case Keenum needs like, yes, does he need a good system to be as good as he was that year? Sure. But Case Keenum is not like bad. It's not like making, Brock Osweiler will look good. Like, you're like, Case Keenum's already solid. Like, all you got to do is just like put it, like, he just had, he caught lightning in a bottle that year. That's what happened. Yeah. Pat Shurmur has done nothing with the offense in Denver. Neither has really any offensive coordinator that's been there.
Didn't they have Gary Kubiak too?
They had Gary Kubiak, who like did help
year.
the run game. Gary Kubiak's more of a run game kind of guy.
Now his son is there now.
Yes, I think so.
Clint Kubiak, Mike Kubiak.
Clint Kubiak, yeah.
Or something like that.
Now Gary Kubiak's the offensive coordinator of the Vikings, I believe. But yeah, so I agree that Vic Fangio's defense was never in question in Denver. Denver was always thought of to have, a top third of the league defense in his time there. He did what I have no doubt he'll get a defense coordinator position after this, because he is still just a brilliant mind when it comes to the defense.
Seattle.
But honestly, I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate it. But they won't get rid of Ken Norton, because like the defense did turn a new leaf towards the end of the season. Like, it did start playing well.
I don't want him in the division, but Atlanta.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who's Atlanta's? I mean, Atlanta needs to get back. Who is Atlanta's defense?
Atlanta needs everything. They need everything.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Vic Fangio, like, I think it was just time. Like, I understand like the thought process that maybe he didn't deserve it, but it was just time for a change in Denver. It was feeling old and stale, and just like it was just like a moot point.
Agreed.
Like, they weren't going anywhere. Like, they weren't advancing. And I don't think that's Vic Fangio's fault, because I think it completely was on the offense.
At the same time, though, like, is it worth the risk of getting rid of a guy who has like done good things for the team in hopes to get a guy that's like, because it's felt like they've been a piece away.
Yes.
So I mean,
but that piece is the quarterback, and like, I don't think Vic Fangio, like, in it, we were talking about it yesterday about how like everybody just seems to like go for it on fourth down nowadays. Like, we are in an era where every head coach needs to be a risk taker. And I feel like Vic Fangio sticking with Teddy Bridgewater, no matter what. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's such a great guy. He deserves, like all the love in the world, because he's such a nice guy. He's an average starting quarterback. Drew Lock had the higher ceiling with this team. He had the chemistry with Noah Fant. I feel like he could maximize the potential of Jerry Jeudy. And he just didn't want to go with that option. And Drew Lock, like, I know Teddy Bridgewater had a great training camp, but like, was he set up to have a great training camp?
Teddy Bridgewater lives for training camp at this point.
Honestly, that's it. Like, anybody, listen, I understand. Like, I think I could have a good day in training camp. Like, I'm being real here. Like, come on. It's like not on a day where they have shells and they're having contact, but like on a day like where they're just in shirts. Like, I think I can make a couple good throws and look good in training camp. Like, I don't think it's all that impressive. Maybe I'm overestimating my ability here, but like, I just like, when it comes down to it, because he did have a good preseason, but then again, you don't read into the preseason. You take preseason with a giant grain of salt, because it is so vanilla in terms of the play calling, defensive play calling. I just think Drew Lock was the better option. I think everybody saw that Drew Lock gave this team the higher ceiling this year. And he didn't want to go with Drew Lock by any means necessary. He played an injured Teddy Bridgewater before he decided to put Drew Lock in. And I think that was kind of the point where I was like, okay, like Vic Fangio, brilliant defensive mind. I think they probably need to upgrade that offense, because I think the defense could be on cruise control for a couple of years. The defense is young. Yeah, it's good. Like, they got a stud in Patrick Surtain that they could take into the future. Like Justin Simmons, that secondary is looking really good. They really just need somebody to improve. Now, the offense isn't far away either. Like you said, they felt like they were a piece away the entire time. And I think that piece is the quarterback. They're probably going to move off of Drew Lock, which I hope another team gives them a chance, snatches them up, because I believe there's all the potential in the world in Drew Lock. But there were just it just felt stale to me. I don't know how to put it. Like it felt like his time there was over. It felt like, just kind of get some refresh in Denver.
What if they go out and get an offensive minded guy and then bring Fangio back as the D coordinator?
He wouldn't do that. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't think.
I feel like that's kind of a pride hit.
Yeah, I don't think that he would. But imagine.
Like that would be great. That's a great team. There's a reason like Vic Fangio was responsible for that Chicago defense. Like the reason like Vic Fangio is responsible for all of Matt Nagy's success. I think I could say that. That's the reason.
That you're just demoting him at that point. That's
exactly.
all.
I feel that. And you had to fire him publicly first to get to that point.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Listen, if the Broncos don't go for a quarterback in this draft, Tyler Huntley. Someone's got to I'm guarantee you someone is giving him a shot next season. They're going to give him the reins. And you know what? I don't think Denver hasn't had a mobile quarterback in John Elway, maybe
Tim Tebow. I think Tim Tebow. I mean, no, who was there? Paxton Lynch wasn't really. I mean, Drew Lock can run a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean like
fast. Like, yeah, Tim Tebow probably, honestly.
Yeah.
Did have 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Fair. Fair.
Drew Lock is a quarterback that like can run if he has to, but he's not a mobile.
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, he's not gonna look to get out of the pocket.
Just switch it up. Switch it up. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater quite literally is a bridge quarterback that is going to be him probably the rest of his career. He might be a top 3 backup right now. And he's not, I think he's starting.
Absolutely.
But you can't put him in a position on a team within the division that they're in. They're not going to be successful if they don't get an offensive
in a division with guys that can just, I mean,
light
probably the strongest arms, like the strongest arm division in all.
Best quarterback division, even with
I would agree.
Broncos not being great.
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr, like, and now
maybe the NFC West, then. That it's close.
With San Francisco. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The NFC West is up there. San Francisco kind of dampens.
They're probably 1 and 2.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point too. With all these high flying offenses, you need to be able, as good as your defense is, you need to be able to keep up. And their offense couldn't keep up.
The Broncos right now have 2 guys that are probably really good QB2s.
Yes.
They have 2 really good backups.
I haven't given up on Drew Lock yet. I haven't given up on Drew Lock yet. I think
if he goes somewhere that they can like develop him, then maybe.
Yes.
But like, because he shows flashes, but it's just the inconsistency that kind of unnerves me. And like, he worked with Peyton Manning in the offseason, and that gave me hope. I was like, okay, this kid's about to light it up potentially. Yeah. And it just kind of didn't happen. He didn't even win the job. So
I feel like he kind of lost some confidence though, because of how much Vic was sticking with Teddy, because Drew played well in preseason. He had a good training camp. He played well in preseason. It was just overshadowed by this hype around Teddy Bridgewater and how good he was.
Fangio has also just like talked shit about his quarterbacks the entire
I feel
season.
it. I agree with that real quick. I agree with
because it feels like he's had, and I know I was just talking him up and saying like maybe he shouldn't have been fired, but he has not given them any confidence from the outside looking in. It doesn't seem like he's like talked these guys up at all. Felt like either of them were the guy. He's basically been like, we're dealing with what we got. These are the guys that we have at our disposal. He even said recently, like they were talking about the rest of the division and stuff. And he was like, well, look at the quarterbacks they have and the quarterbacks we have. And it's like, dude, like I get it, but also why would the fuck would you say that?
Why would you say that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's just not, I just feel like, Drew Lock, honestly, like New Orleans wouldn't be a bad spot for Drew Lock. I don't think. Sean Payton, the quarterback whisperer over there.
I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like there's with the Saints and Sean Payton, it really feels like there's a lot of guys in the league like that. And I'm not saying like, I don't want to talk it up too much and be like, oh, we could win with any guy in the league. But like, there's a lot of guys right now. I mean, we talked about Trubisky earlier. There's Drew Lock. He won with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater went undefeated in his tenure. Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of guys like that, but I don't think that we're going to look to pick any up. I genuinely think and I don't want to turn this into a Saints segment, but I think that Jameis moves on because we can't pay him, and Taysom Hill is going to be the starting quarterback.
Wild. Listen, there's going to be a guy in Green Bay in Denver next year, and his name is not Aaron Rodgers. His name is motherfucking Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
They're getting
Jordan Love. I don't think Jordan Love is gonna fulfill his potential, but that's just me.
I'll say right now, Jordan Love barring any injury, never starts another game for the Green Bay Packers.
Barring an injury
to Aaron Rodgers, never starts another game for the Green Bay Packers.
I would say no, because I think if Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl this year, I think he gives a giant middle finger to the Packers and he demands a trade.
I still think that for Aaron Rodgers, it's either stay with the Packers or retire. One of those two things.
Really? So I think he would. I think I could see him just for just to fuck over the Green Bay to want to go to a place. He might go in the division.
I don't think he's doing that anymore. I really don't. I think I've legitimately seen a change in him over the season.
I would agree.
Yeah. And he continues. He continues to talk so much about how Brian Gutekunst has changed and how this organization has changed throughout the season. That's good. So I think legitimately, if they win the Super Bowl, I think he's back. If they don't, I think I'm not necessarily going to say he's going to leave. I would lean more towards retirement. I think retirement is looming though within the next 3 years though, 100%.
He strikes me as the guy that won't retire because of his ability. He'll just retire because he wants to.
Yeah. That's what he said on the Pat McAfee show. He wants to retire when he's still feeling good.
Yeah.
Because I could definitely see that. But
because he's a guy that could play until he's 45. I
in either of those scenarios, though, whether he stays with if he stays with the Packers, Jordan Love is not going to be there long enough. They're not going to hold on to him long enough for him to become the starter at any point.
I think it's a Jimmy G sitch. Shit. Fuck. Sitch. It's late. I haven't gone.
It's a Jimmy G shit.
It's a
Jimmy G is ass. He's shit. Anyway, all right, let's move on. We need to get off of that topic. All right. You know what? Let's go right back to the NFC North with another coaching fire in the right there in Minneapolis, Minnesota with Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer has finally been fired. He's finally been relieved of his duty as Vikings head coach, which feels like forever. I can't even remember who was the head coach before him. I honestly don't know. And I listen, we're still young NFL fans. So somebody like some 30-year-olds probably listening to this being like, are you fucking kidding me? He's only been there for like 8 years.
Who coached Favre? It must have been whoever coached Favre when he was there.
Who was Favre? Oh shit.
Zimmer's been the head coach since 14?
Yeah.
Dennis Green, maybe. Does that sound familiar? I don't know.
All I know is I'm on the Luke wagon at this point. And Mike Zimmer's a fucking asshole.
Yup.
Yeah.
I'm full on board with it. Like I had seen some stories here and there and I was like, okay, this guy's like kind of a tool. But I literally, as we, took our little break earlier, Luke, I was scrolling through Instagram or whatever. And I saw this post that Mike Zimmer in his press conference knew that Justin Jefferson was 17 yards, I want to say, away from breaking Randy Moss's franchise record for yards in a single season with the Vikings, and didn't give a shit. He was like, "No, we're not going to throw it to you. We're just going to run the game out." It's like why? What is the point? You're just blatantly being an asshole. He was like, "I don't care about breaking records. I care about wins." Well, maybe if you strung together a few more wins, you wouldn't have gotten fucking fired yesterday, dude.
Yep.
So facts. I don't care. I think that he's a good defensive coordinator somewhere else too, but I don't care if he ends up anywhere else because he's a tool.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. I've been saying this for years. Mike Zimmer's a scumbag. And he had that miracle season where he made it to the NFC Championship game. Other than that, what does he have to show for? Like legitimately, what does he have to show for? 2015, he won the division. That's it. He won the Super Bowl as an assistant with the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s.
He's a DB's guy, right? That secondary group was really good. So that's how he got the job with the Vikings. And their secondary, since he's been there, really hasn't been all that great.
No. I'll say that's cap because over the 2010s, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes had that. Xavier Rhodes seasons. Yeah, Xavier Rhodes was really good. I can't remember his name.
But Harrison Smith feels like the only piece that's stuck though. Like Xavier Rhodes, you said he had a couple good seasons.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, it's like, I mean, what have they really done? He has had some good defensive groups because he's a defensive guy. But if we're gonna say that Vic Fangio had outlived his time and with the Broncos or whatever because he couldn't get the offense going. I feel like you got to say the same thing for Zimmer.
I've said for a few years now that Mike Zimmer was on the hot seat, really ever since 2017, and he was brought into Minnesota for one specific reason, and that was to beat Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers and to shut him down. And that's why Aaron Rodgers had so many fits, because he was pretty successful at him. I want to say they were close to splitting in his time there. The Vikings definitely got some good wins over the Packers in their tenure. And he definitely gave Rodgers fits, but to not really be successful in any other facet is just, and to be like an asshole your entire tenure there. And it's really showing now, because this was a guy that knew he was getting fired at the end of the season, and he just didn't give a shit. And it showed. And you know, every single press conference I want to say 2 years ago when the Packers won the division in like week 16, Matt LaFleur went to go shake his hand, and he literally just slapped his hand and left the field and just didn't even say a word to him. That's how I knew that I was right about his character. And you know what? Quite frankly, he can't ever lead a team again. D coordinator, fine. That's fine. I think he's a great defensive mind. He will never, ever get another head coaching job again, and he doesn't deserve one either.
Yeah. I when I was young and naive, I liked Mike Zimmer. I thought he was a pretty good coach, but just I always felt like you were still like 3 years ago. I was like, all right, we can like move on from this. Like I think Mike Zimmer's kind of done. Like you can give up on him. It's okay. Like, cause I feel like he hadn't done anything to like deserve.
It's okay. You can lose with other coaches too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like over his time there, like he's had these just blue chip corner prospects. Like Trey Waynes was a top pick that didn't develop. Mackenzie Alexander hasn't done much. Mike Hughes hasn't done. I think Mike Hughes was kind of like a personal issue though. I think he like did something off the field or something.
Probably.
I think he's on the Chiefs now. But yeah, Mike Hughes hasn't been all that great. Like you got these guys that are supposed to be, you know, highly talented corners, and you can't develop any of them. Like zero. Like Xavier Rhodes was your biggest success, and Xavier Rhodes kind of like a 2-year wonder, because Xavier Rhodes had one flaw, and that's that he was slow. Like he can't run, which is not going to have a very successful career as a corner when you can't run. But yeah, I feel like that Mike Zimmer has just not had the playoff success. He's not had the success in general to be able to stick around. He's had like the Vikings. If you look at their rosters over the last couple of years, like they've had some pretty damn
good
talented
rosters.
Teams.
Yeah.
They've had some very talented rosters, and they've really done like nothing with them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to give you guys some stats real quick.
Okay.
Mike Zimmer was the 7th longest tenured coach in the NFL, like as an active coach.
Wow.
The only guys above him are the obvious ones, Belichick, Tomlin, Peyton, all those, Andy Reid, all those guys.
Yeah.
And he ranked 17th in winning percentage among active coaches.
Yep.
He averaged 8.9 wins per season.
Yep.
So that's barely above 500 with the 16 game season. Obviously 17 games now. That is losing.
Yeah.
With the teams that he's had. So, and he was the longest tenured head coach. I said this a bunch of times. If you follow me literally anywhere, I'm sure you've heard me say it. The longest tenured head coach in the league that hadn't won a Super Bowl. Why did they keep him around so long? I will never understand.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Just saying that. Yeah, he is. I'm just thinking of the guys. Yeah.
He's gone now. So
all the guys above him have a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Because I guess even Mike McCarthy, did Mike McCarthy have a longer tenure than him with the Packers?
Mike McCarthy, I want to say he was brought in around 2005, 6.
I think it was later than that. I think it was like 08.
Was it 08?
I think Holmgren
was there for, I don't know. I think McCarthy was brought in there earlier than 08.
When did Holmgren go to Seattle?
I'm looking it up right now because I don't know, because that stat that I brought up is obviously after McCarthy was already fired as the Packers.
But even McCarthy won a Super Bowl in his tenure. So like you can't.
Yeah. Yes. McCarthy was hired in 2006 and coached the team through 2018.
So, okay. So he was 12 years. Okay. But he won a Super Bowl. So he deserved that long. Like, And even then, even they knew when to cut ties with him. So yes, Mike Zimmer has stayed around way too long. I think he's a fine defensive coordinator. I don't think he's like my number one candidate if I'm looking for a defensive coordinator. Defensive backs, like I don't even know if I'm going to him for a defensive backs coach. Like look at the talent he's had that he hasn't developed. Trey Waynes, like I'm gonna say the names again. Trey Waynes was a top 12 pick in the draft, and he was like talented as hell at Michigan State. Then you got Mackenzie Alexander on a national champion Clemson roster. Mackenzie Alexander was their number one corner, and he's like been fine. Like he's been okay.
He's doing better now. He's doing better now.
I think he's doing better now. Yeah, but like he hasn't like people were talking like he was a high second round pick. He was supposed to be a stud. Like he hasn't done much. Mike Hughes, another first round pick. He's with the Chiefs now. Now I know those personal issues, but again, he hasn't done much either. So he's had all these corners that like that's his bread and butter. Like if anything, give me some Pro Bowlers in the secondary. Like I don't know. I just.
And one more thing with Mike McCarthy and his tenure with the Packers in comparison, like McCarthy won his Super Bowl in his 5th year with the team, which is why he stayed with the team for so long after the fact.
Yeah,
Zimmer was with the team for as long as he was and didn't win one.
No,
so it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
but good for the Vikings, I guess. He's gone now, so hopefully some things will change.
Yes, and they fired GM Rick Spielman with him. So again, much like the Bears, they're going with kind of a full culture change here. Now let's move on to I'm gonna save the one that has the most talked about for last. But let's go on to Joe Judge, who's just fired today, a couple hours ago as we're recording this podcast. So he wasn't quite a Black Monday casualty, but it shouldn't have taken this long. So why don't we just kind of touch on Joe Judge, speed this up a little bit because this is going on a little long, but let's just comment on Joe Judge.
Joe Judge should have never gotten. He was the wrong guy for the job in the first place. You can't go from Pat Shurmur to Joe Judge. Can't do that shit.
Yeah.
No, can't go from what was his name? Oh, the guy that was there before
Ben McAdoo.
Ben fucking McAdoo. You can't go from Ben McAdoo to Pat Shurmur to Joe Judge. That is impossibly bad. But you know what? I wouldn't expect anything less from Dave Gettleman. But Joe Judge. I don't think he necessarily would have lost his job if he didn't make those just snarky comments to the media, and if he didn't just call some of the shittiest play calls I've ever seen. Yeah, 3rd and 9. Let's run a QB sneak with Drake. Even if you have Jake Fromm and nobody on offense that's of note, you don't take a quarterback sneak there. That was definitely the nail in the coffin. Absolutely. There's no other way you could look at it. But I don't necessarily think he would have been. I don't think he would have lost his job had it not been for his last month of the season. I think that there could have been enough there. You could have made the excuse that Daniel Jones fucking sucks. You could have made the excuse that Dave Gettleman is ass and he's giving away $72 million for free to fucking Kenny Golladay to sit on a bench. Like they just haven't made good decisions as an organization, and Joe Judge is just another one of those bad decisions. And you know what? Their whole team is falling apart. The entire team is falling apart.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is their best player. Is he anymore? Like it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Giants. I just think they're in a terrible spot right now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And they haven't shown me anything to make me change my mind on that.
Even firing Joe Judge, I mean, it doesn't do anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a great coach, and it's still going to take time for you to build this team because you just really don't have the pieces right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few stats for Joe Judge as well that I'm going to present here. Saw this on CBS earlier, so shout out them. Since his hiring in 2020, points per game, 16.3, 32nd in the NFL.
Yep.
Yards per game, 293.3, 32nd in the NFL.
Yep.
Yards per play, 4.8. Guess what? 32nd in the NFL. And last but not least, red zone efficiency, 45.6%, which again is 32nd in the NFL.
Can we pull up their special team stats legitimately? I want to see.
Team
I want to see their. I'm going to look this up. You could go, Gage.
But yeah, I mean, I just, it made sense to fire him. I think that along with them just not being a good team, just the narratives and everything floating around, even at the start of the season, in the off season with the guys running laps because of fighting and all that stuff. It's like, these are grown men. You know what I mean? They're not going to go for that stuff. Even if, like, I get that he's trying to be a hard ass. He's trying to be like, lay down the law, whatever the case may be, but it's just not going to work. And I feel like he lost the team very early on. Yes. And that was apparent throughout the season, along with injuries and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that if the Giants can get a decent O-line, if they can continue to build the O-line like through the offseason and everything, and just maintain Daniel Jones while you have him for another year, keep Saquon Barkley on his 5th-year option, and see what you can do. I don't think anything special is going to come of it, but I think they can be better than they were, at least.
Yeah. It had been like, just show something. Like, show some improvement.
Yeah.
Like, do something to keep your job. And it was nothing. And he did nothing to help himself keep the job. The Giants became I don't know. They had like what, 6 wins this year? How many wins did they have this year?
Like, I don't think they even had that many, did they?
Four.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they got that many. I don't know how. The whole Kenny Golladay signing was like clearly just a GM and head coach not being on the same page to me. Because if you're a head coach, I feel like you want to utilize your like $74 million receiver. But Joe Judge seems like he did everything in his power to not throw it to Kenny Golladay, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I know for a fact that New York fans are excited about this, and they should be, because they're getting rid of Dave Gettleman, not because he got fired, because he's retiring. So that's a little cherry on top.
He was forced out. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Let's be real here.
Retire or we're gonna fire you.
Yeah, and Joe Judge deserved to go. He deserved to go. I liked the hiring. I'm not gonna lie. When they did it, he gave that whole New York pep talk speech when he came in, and New York fans kind of got behind that. And I don't blame him, because it sounded like he was saying all the right things, and he fooled all of us. Guy.
He fooled everybody.
He was a Belichick guy, and everybody had all these good things to say about him. It just failed miserably. He's just not a head coach material. That's not to say he won't be at some point in his career. I just feel like he was given this job way too young. I think he's still he's in his 30s. I don't think he deserved it, and I don't think.
It was just such a random hire.
Yeah,
it was so out of left field. Out of left field.
Then again, Sean McVay was a random hire. Sean McVay, nobody was talking about Sean McVay when he got hired as head coach. People were like, you hired this 30-year-old offensive coordinator. Who the fuck is this guy?
It's because he interviewed so well, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Joe Judge, a lot of that came from him being a Belichick guy. But I feel like at this point, it's like, stop hiring Belichick guys, please.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia. Look at Matt Patricia.
Exactly. And Josh McDaniels, who has not had a successful head coaching career, and went back to New England, and he's happy there. And he's going to get another one. Josh McDaniels will get another one. And he ditched out on the Colts, which ended up being great, because the only guy remaining ended up to be a terrific head coach, and Frank Reich. So good for him. But, I'm sure that New York is very happy about this, and they should be, because he needed to get the hell out of there. Yeah. Just the whole culture around the Giants was just in shambles. Anytime I watched it this year, I'm like you could feel the culture of a team. And every time I watched the Giants or checked up on the Giants, how are they doing? It just felt like, what the fuck is going on right now? It feels like nothing. Yeah. It just felt like nothing was going right for them. And it's still, a fish rots from the head down. So that's exactly what happened. So again, complete culture change there in New York. And listen, the Giants have a great fan base. I live in New York. I know how passionate those football fans are. I hope they get a winning team, because they deserve it. They've been without a winning team, I think, since 2015, which is when they lost the Packers.
16.
Did they? Oh yeah, Ben McAdoo's first year they had a winning record.
The boat incident.
So the boat. Yeah. So I hope the Giants do the right thing here, and they hire a good GM. They hire a good coach. Go get Tom Coughlin again. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Adam Gase is on his couch right now.
The Giants fans will burn down MetLife Stadium if they go again. And I'm not even kidding. They will, if they get Adam Gase. If the league should never touch Adam, not even as an offensive coordinator. Do not touch Adam Gase anymore.
Unless Peyton's coming back. Peyton's coming back, then Adam Gase has to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they hire Eli as head coach. Who knows? Who the hell knows what they do?
Get Adam Gase on the Manning cast. That's what we need.
Oh my God. Anyway, let's move on to the last head coach that did not make any sense. The coach that we all agree did not deserve to get fired. And Brian Flores was outed as head coach by Stephen Ross of the Miami Dolphins after leading his team back from a 1-7 record. Just caught the NFL world by surprise because Brian Flores had been improving that team, and everybody around him kind of acknowledged, like, no, this guy's like a phenomenal head coach. Like, he did not deserve this. And he, like, that when you fire somebody and they're the number one, like, go get this guy, we're going to interview him right now. Like, he's the number one guy in all these teams' lists now that you fired him, that you fucked up. Like, you should know now that you fucked up there. So just what were your, Gage, we'll start with you. What was your reaction to the Brian Flores firing?
Definitely surprising, like actually surprising. I'm not, I'm not joking around like I was with Matt Nagy. I don't know. I feel like he's been a really good coach for them. 2 of his 3 seasons have been winning seasons. And then he strings together the season that they had this year, where obviously they start off really slow. They bring it back and they almost damn near make the playoffs, which is crazy. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it makes any sense. A lot of people have been pointing to their GM and the disagreements that they've had, and they think that the Dolphins want to bring in Deshaun Watson, which Brian Flores, they've been saying had no interest in bringing in Deshaun Watson. Yeah. So I feel like that's where the disconnect was, and there was a power struggle, and instead of getting rid of the GM, they got rid of the head coach. And I kind of understand that. Like, I mean, they had a pretty solid draft. They're coming off of a good draft between
good free agency too. Good free agency.
Yeah, good free agency. Xavier Howard wanted out, and they were able to maintain him. He had a pretty solid season, despite what a lot of people were thinking early in the season. So, like, I kind of understand the thought process, but I still don't agree with it. I think that you have to hold on to Brian Flores, as good of a coach as he's been for you. And they seem like they've been heading in the right direction. They have been getting better. So I don't know. It feels like the wrong move for sure.
He was the type of coach, Brian Flores, that got his players to play really hard for him. And I feel like as a locker room, they really responded well to him. And that's sort of the main thing you want out of a coach. Obviously, you need winning and you need to see results, but like, you need to capture the locker room. And I don't think anybody's done that better than Brian Flores. I mean, look at their 1-7 record, and then they go all the way to 7-7. I will play a little bit of devil's advocate here. When you look at the history, Adam Gase made the playoffs with this team, albeit they weren't all that great. But he did make the playoffs. Brian Flores obviously had 2 winning seasons, but didn't quite get there. You start to look at this season and their 1-7 start, and you start to have wonders about, like, because there were definitely chirps about him possibly getting fired when they were 1-7. Now, if this team went, let's say 4-13 now, do you think it's justified that he gets fired? Yeah. And then you start to look at the teams that he beat. As a GM, I don't think that they thought those wins were necessarily that valuable. In the grand scheme of things. I mean, they beat the Jets twice, the Giants, like they beat Patriots. True, but and I will say that's probably the best thing about Brian Flores is that he's able to do that. And I don't think it was a good firing at all. But I'm just saying,
like if that's the way they're thinking about it, they're entirely underrating the way that he rallied his guys to do that.
Yeah, and that's the opposite side of it. But like, I could see reasoning behind it. I don't necessarily think it was the great move, but you know what? I don't get paid to make those decisions. So we're going to see in the grand scheme of things. I think Brian Flores is going to get another head coaching job somewhere. I think he's going to get hired immediately. I want to see him go back to the Patriots, and I want to see him be pissed off, and I want to see the Patriots go out and beat the Dolphins year after year. Because if I'm Brian Flores, I'm livid that I got fired from that, because he's the best thing that happened to Miami in a while. Yeah. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, I agree. It was shocking. I think we can all agree on that. Like, that was not a name I was expecting to see when I woke up on Black Monday. And I completely agree that every report that's coming out says it was because of the disagreements between Brian Flores and their GM, because he didn't want to bring in Deshaun Watson because, listen, we all know how the Patriots are run. We all know how those guys are brought up, how all those assistants are brought up. Character, that's number one. You better be a good person. Like that's the number one thing they care about. And Deshaun Watson, like, that's very much in question right now. So why the hell would you want to bring that into your locker room? And that was definitely Brian Flores' thought process. It's like, because nobody's saying no to Deshaun Watson because of the football player. As a football player, he has a Hall of Fame talent. Like that guy on a winning team will go into the Hall of Fame. That's how good Deshaun Watson is. But off the field, not looking good. Like, I don't know if you want that in your locker room. And Brian Flores obviously didn't. And the Miami Dolphins, executives wanted to look past that and bring him in anyway. So I just think that was probably the point where they decided they were going to let him go. Like, they were probably not expecting him to go on this run after they were 1-7. I guarantee you the executives for the Dolphins were ready to fire him when they were 1-7, and they did not expect him to go on this run because he's that good of a coach. Like, you don't go on that kind of run unless your team believes in you and you can get that out of them. Like, say what you want. I have the same argument with Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was a good coach. Emphasis on the coach. He was a terrible GM. Atrocious GM. He should have never gotten that position in the first place.
That was stupid. That was so stupid.
It was lazy. It was lazy by the Texans.
Absolutely.
Like, just give it to Bill. Just give it to Bill. Like, no, that's not how that works.
I don't like that. I've never liked that. I think those two positions need to be separate. Like, I know that Bill Belichick does it, and he's done a decent job, or did a decent
even
job.
Him,
but as of recently, he hasn't done great with it.
They thought because his name was Bill that he could do the same shit.
Exactly.
And he came from the coaching tree too. Another guy.
It's just like, it's never like, you should always, the best teams ever always had the separation of church and state. You have the GM and you have the head coach, and the best teams ever, they think alike. They have the mesh. They have that mesh there. So you don't need to put the coach at GM, because if you have a winning team, your coach should be thinking what your GM is thinking, and vice versa. Like, they should be on the same page at all times. That's what makes a great GM and coach hiring. And listen, Bill O'Brien was the same way. Bill O'Brien, I think, deserves to be an NFL head coach again, because he was a great coach. People just get clouded because of,
I think he will be. I think he will be.
100% agree about it. Because he went, like, people forget, Bill O'Brien brought his team from 1-4 to like 11 wins. Like, they rattled off 11 wins with that team. And you talk to JJ Watt about Bill O'Brien, he has nothing but good things to say about him. Like, most players on that team have nothing but good things to say about Bill O'Brien.
D-Hop, on the other hand.
Oh, that was just because because that was Bill O'Brien, the GM, with the DeAndre Hopkins thing. That was the GM. Yeah. And it's the same thing with Brian Flores. Like, once you if you go on that type of run, you have the team, you have the locker room, the team respects you, and that's all you could ask for a head coach. So Brian Flores, I've no doubt in my mind, will be number one guy on the list for pretty much every team that's looking for a head coach right now. I would love him in New York. I think that would be a great spot for him. And I think he could change the culture immediately.
I think for New York, that would be fantastic. For Brian Flores, you'd be a fucking idiot to do that.
Yes and no. Like, New York has a nice defense that he could work with.
Of the places that are open right now that have head coaching vacancies, New York is very, very low, if not the bottom of the list for me.
I don't know.
Because
top 10 Gettleman isn't there. Because Gettleman
top 10 picks,
two top 10 picks, because it's literally
leadership.
Yeah, it's literally like, you don't know, like, there's no culture there right now. Because listen,
two top 10 picks, or I could go to Jacksonville, where we have this first overall quarterback already in place.
But you also have Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke's Trent Baalke's,
and I get that.
Shad Khan is dumb.
Shad Khan, I think gets hated on a little too much.
I don't think
he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that, like, he kind of reminds. I know this isn't like a great comparison because I fucking hate James Dolan, but like, at least James Dolan, he will pay whatever it takes to win. Like, that's the one good thing about James Dolan, is like, money is no object if it means winning. Now, he's an asshole, right? Like, Shad Khan's not an asshole. He's just a little controlling.
I think you just made my argument for me, comparing him to James Dolan.
I know. It's not great. I know. If I'm be honest,
I think I said this a few episodes ago. I think that Khan is just a little too involved in things.
Yes.
I think that he's a good owner. He cares about the team. He wants the team to be successful.
That's what it is.
He's not a guy that just like is going to stand aside. You run this shit. I don't care about it. It's just a business to me. He cares about the team. He just needs to back off a little bit and let them do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And understand when guys need to go.
Yeah.
I think are just the biggest things.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, getting back to what we were talking about with Brian Flores and potential destinations. Okay. No, I don't like Jacksonville because of the GM that's there. Well, the Vikings just got rid of their GM. They have a talented roster with a defense that's already pretty decent. The Broncos have a very good defense. They're a piece or two away, maybe. So I just think that it's hard to make a case for the Giants at all right now.
I don't think I would love to go to the Giants because listen, the Giants have a great ownership. They really do. Like that ownership group is completely well respected. It's Wellington Mara. It's the Maras. They're very well respected. They're very, I think they're willing to pay whatever it takes. They want to win. It's a winning franchise. It has a winning history for a reason. And that starts with the ownership. Listen, if I'm a head coach, I think in any of these places that got rid of the head coach and GM, you need to hire the GM first. You need to hire the GM first, and then you need to go and get a guy that the GM wants. And I think Brian Flores needs to be in a place where the GM understands his way of thinking because Patriots people think differently. Anybody who was born and bred in the Patriots system is going to think a completely different way than other people think. So you need to have, if you look in Tennessee, Mike Vrabel and John Robinson, those two guys are Patriots guys. They both grew up, they're both from the Patriots system and they work flawlessly. And that's why Tennessee has had this complete resurgence. So if you need Patriots guys if you want a Patriots guy to work, you need to get a guy that thinks the same way. So I think Brian Flores is going to be ultra aware of that now because of the disagreements and how he got fired in Miami. He's going to realize, oh shit, like if the GM doesn't agree with me, now this is how it's going to go. Okay. I need to go somewhere where the GM and I are completely on the same page. So I think Denver works. I think Denver's a great spot for him because of the defense there. Yeah. And honestly, if we're being honest, I could see him in Denver. I think that's probably where he'll end up. How can you turn down that defense to work with as a defensive minded guy?
With the Vikings too. I mean, he's coming in Vikings with a new GM.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. Who is the Denver GM?
I don't know.
I never heard
George Patton.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I've never heard bad things about Denver's GM. So I'm sure I'm assuming that means he's fine.
Just, I don't know, go out and get a quarterback that is not average or below. And
that was a John Elway issue too, though. Like John Elway is also doing that shit. Yeah.
It hasn't been in a position long.
Yeah.
It's an organization issue, if we're being honest. They just cursed.
Yeah, exactly. So Brian Flores, I think we all agree, is going to be the top candidate for all of these guys.
100%.
And I would not be surprised if he's the first guy hired. I just hope, because this guy so deserves to be a head coach and he will bring a team success. I just hope they get the GM that is on the same page with them. I that's the number one thing you got to do. That's why I thought Jacksonville should fire Trent Baalke, because I like everything I hear about Trent Baalke is bad. It's negative. So like, I don't know why you keep a guy around that. Like, he must be quite this schmoozer. Like he must be talking you up if you want to keep him around. But I believe they need to be on the same page. And that's what I hope these owners focus on. Like, cause it's never ends well when you get a GM and a head coach that are not that are not in one. So
I feel like wherever Flores wants to go, they could potentially do, unless there's a GM that's already in place. I feel like they could potentially do like what the 49ers did when they got Shanahan, because Shanahan got the coaching job before John Lynch got the GM job. And Shanahan was like part of that process. So I think Flores is valuable enough to these teams right now that they'd potentially do something like that.
I think one of the NFC North teams are probably going to scoop him up, whether that be the Vikings or the Bears.
That's fine. Yeah.
I genuinely think if the Bears, if they want to go more offensive mind direction, probably not going to be Brian Flores, but I think Vikings, I think that's a seamless fit because they already offensively, they're kind of already there. They already have that star power. I think defensively they need to bring it back, and Brian Flores has shown that he's a winning coach. I think Vikings is probably best fit for him. I want to know one thing from you guys though. If you had a bold prediction for one hire, If you'd put money down on it.
I think that
that is going to happen.
This isn't that fun. It's a little bit boring, so to speak. I think that the Raiders stick with Bisaccia. I don't think they bring in another guy. I think they stick with him.
100% agree.
He made the playoffs against all the adversity and everything. They're on a 4-game win streak. They just won. I mean, what was a crazy ass game against the Chargers. So I really think that he could stay.
I think if he wins a playoff game, he stays. I think if he wins a playoff game, he stays in there. I think that's the icing on the cake.
I think that they could. I think they could beat the Bengals.
The players have rallied around him, and just with the crazy year, I think him directing that team and managing that team throughout everything, the way he handled everything so well, he had to deal with shit nobody should ever have to deal with. And the fact that they're in the playoffs right now, I think that speaks for itself. I definitely think they retain him. As for me, I would put money on this, like legitimately. I might look and see if I can, but I think the Jaguars are going to end up hiring Nathaniel Hackett, the Packers offensive coordinator. Wow. I just have a weird feeling. He was there in 2017 when they had their AFC Championship run. I think they're looking for stability there. He's obviously shown that he's able to lead a great offense. And I think that they just, for the time being, they just need someone that's not going to cause any problems. That's not going to, be the main focus of a story. That's going to be able to actually develop their star young stud of a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. And they have a bunch of young talent on that team. I think Nathaniel Hackett, he already has a history with Shad Khan and the Jaguars there. I think he's going to end up there. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'd almost guarantee it.
I think the only thing that would keep me from that is the fact that the Broncos are already interested in him, and the Broncos are more put together despite not having the high pick and stuff or as high of a pick, obviously, and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that matter. I'm more so looking at it like he already knows sort of like the system there. He already knows the ownership. They already have like a past relationship. I don't know. It's none of these are probably going to end up happening, but we're shooting into the thin air right now.
I am going to say Jim Harbaugh.
I was waiting for somebody to bring him up.
Jim Harbaugh to Miami. Stephen Ross is a Michigan alum. He loves Jim Harbaugh. And I just think it's too good to be true. Like, I think Jim Harbaugh loves his Michigan guys. He does. And I think vice versa. So I think that would be, I think everything that I'm going off purely what Adam Rank said. Apparently Jim Harbaugh has some like close connections in the Raiders organization that would want him there. But again, with the job that Rich Bisaccia has done, and he's such a respected guy in the NFL,
you can't justify that.
You can't justify it. But I think Jim Harbaugh would be their first call if they were not going to retain Rich Bisaccia, but I think they will. So I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh to Miami. I'm going to give another one. Brian Daboll to New York.
I don't hate those. I still have the feeling that Jim Harbaugh is staying in Michigan. I don't see how you could leave after a season like that.
Because this is when his peak. This is his peak.
I know. I'm very much aware of his peak.
He beat Ohio State. He made it into the playoffs. Like, this is it. Like, go.
Yeah, exactly. This is when NFL teams are like, let's take a chance on this guy.
Yeah.
Not when he goes and gets the shit kicked out of him by OSU next year, and when he doesn't have anywhere close to as good a season.
Penn State beat him all the time too. Just people forget about that. Penn State whooped their ass a bunch.
From like a personal standpoint, like, how could you do that to a team? Like, I know it's all money. It's all logistics.
Cuckest thing ever. Yeah. That's an asshole move.
I just don't think. And I used to think Jim Harbaugh was an asshole. I don't anymore. But like, I don't think he would do that. I really don't.
Yeah,
not after the season. Not after the season that they just had.
But he's taking interviews. Like, every indication says that he's going to take interviews. And that's like the first, like, if you are not interested at all, like, you say like, no, just no, I'm not even going to take interviews. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm staying in Michigan. It's that would be like Pete leaving USC. It would be the same shit. He said the same thing to his guys. He was like, listen, like, I'm here, I'm USC all the way. And then he goes to Seattle. Like, it's the same. He came to Michigan.
That's the way it goes.
His whole thing at Michigan was, I am bringing success back to this program. We are going to win a national championship. I promise you. And he's been like, whatever you want to define success as, because success in college is very different than success in the NFL.
Yeah.
You lose 3 games in college, people don't say that's a successful season. People are like, no, you fucked up. Like, you shouldn't have lost those 3 games. Especially in a program like Michigan. Michigan is held to a higher standard. Michigan has failed that standard every single year up until this year. And he finally did it. The fans are finally seeing some success. Oh my God. Like, he's finally doing what he said he was going to do. This Michigan grad, this guy is Michigan through and through, and he's finally doing for us. Oh my God, we're this close to a national championship. And now he was. And now he abandons everything he said. And he was, it would be the shittiest thing ever. And I laughed my ass off, but yeah. But Jim Harbaugh was a good NFL coach. So I can't knock it. Like, he did bring a team to the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, he was successful in the NFL. He didn't have to go back to Michigan.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a horrible situation to be going into either. If we're just talking about Miami as a destination. Yeah. I mean, they've got a decent roster. They have literally the most cap space available of any team going into the offseason. So really, they're only going to get better as long as they choose a good coach.
Hey, maybe he goes to Jacksonville and they scoop up Aiden Hutchinson first pick.
Maybe that could work. That could work. I could see that too.
That'd be something.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Totally Unqualified Podcast. We thank you for listening. We really do appreciate all of your support. Hopefully, just if any other coaches get fired, we're going to be monitoring this situation pretty closely. So obviously, when coach hirings start happening, we're going to be talking about those in the pod, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Any last words from the 2 best co-hosts ever?
I thank you, Jake. Yeah, make sure to just follow us all on our social medias. I am, of course, Football Fan Zone. Gage is Extra Points, and Jake is Jake_Maltese3. And make sure to follow all of our Totally Unqualified accounts as well. We got TikTok, we got Instagram, we got Twitter, we got YouTube, you name it, we got it. And make sure to look out for Friday's episode. We're doing an episode on Friday. That is going to be the half century mark, episode 50, where we give our playoff predictions. It's going to be a fun time. I'm looking forward to this milestone with you guys.
And the Overtime app is badass.
Really?
So download it.
What?
Yeah, it's lit.
Who would have thought?
I love it.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. So download that for sure.
Download
any of our bios. Yeah.
Join the fantasy pools every Sunday up until the Super Bowl, and prizes are getting better every single week.
Yeah, they are
up to it. Watch out for it.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine what some of the prizes in the regular season, like these playoff prizes.
Super Bowl prize.
Insane.
Super Bowl prize. We already know what the Super Bowl prize is.
Yeah. No, and it's crazy. All right, guys. That's gonna do it for this one, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.